Once the pad stitching is complete, it's time to assemble the pieces into a table topper. The first set of pieces I'm going to join to one another are the large square to the long edge of the octagon. In order to begin matching up my square to my octagon, I first have to determine which one of these dots I need to use, because there's a set of 3 of them in every angle of the octagon. So the set in the middle is always related to how an octagon joins another octagon. It's never related to how an octagon joins a square. Only one set of these dots is useful when joining an octagon to a square. That set of dots is always the dots that's closest to the seam that I'm going to stitch. So I'm going to ignore this set of dots because I'm going to sew the large rectangle to the octagon along this seam. So I'm going to use this set of dots to help guide me when joining the pieces. I'm going to ignore these. And over here I'm going to use these set of dots that are closest to the stitching line to help guide me when joining my octagon to my rectangle. I marked all of these dots because there are occasions when I'm going to join a small square to the octagon here. It just happens that this side is not going to be joined to a small square. There is no confusion as far as the square or the rectangle goes. There's only one set of dots. So you just line up the ones that are closest to the stitching line to the ones that are drawn on the rectangle piece. I have the rectangle basted, or you could also pin baste this, to the octagon, following the joining dots. I'm going to sew from top dot to top dot. Before I go ahead and sew though, I'm going to also add this octagon shape. I do want to highlight something. The sash for this rectangle is only 5/8 of an inch deep. The sash for the octagon it'll join is 1 inch deep. So you cannot match these edges in order to join these pieces together and have the project work. You have to use the joining guides and then follow the stitching line. Here are 2 octagons joined to the center rectangle. I'm going to join the remaining 2 octagons to the rectangle before I do anything else. All 4 octagons have been joined to the center rectangle or square. Now it's time to close up the seams right here where an octagon will meet another octagon. In order to match up those edges and establish the correct stitching line, I'm going to use these centering guide dots to guide me when joining the pieces to one another. This octagon has been joined to this octagon along this one edge. This octagon's been joined to this octagon along this edge. And I'm getting ready to sew the seam of this octagon right here so that it will join this octagon on this edge. Remember, the long central dots installed by the joining guides are the correct ones to use when matching and joining octagon pieces to each other. All the octagons have been joined to the octagon next to them along this short edge. At this point, this rectangle cannot be joined to anything else, and so I go ahead and turn down the sash. The sashes of the center square are folded and stitched in place. The best way to demonstrate the method I use is in a separate video. So, if you would like to review the tricks and see the method I use to produce these neat corners, watch the video titled Turning Rectangle Sashes, the Easy Complete Way.